When did you find out why your mom acted so strict? I discovered the real reason my mother was so overprotective when I found her old diary while cleaning out her bedroom after she passed away, revealing that she'd lost her first daughter in an accident and spent my entire childhood terrified of losing me the same way. It started when I was going through mom's things after her funeral, something I'd been dreading for weeks. She'd always been incredibly strict with me growing up. Curfews at 9 p.m. even in high school, no sleepovers, constant phone calls to check on me, and rules that made my friends think she was crazy overprotective. I'd spent years resenting her control over my life. While other kids had freedom to explore and make mistakes, I felt suffocated by her constant worry and endless restrictions. We'd fought about it constantly, especially during my teenage years when I couldn't understand why she treated me like I was made of glass. Hidden in her bedroom closet, behind boxes of old photos, I found a worn leather diary that I'd never seen before. The first entry was dated 3 years before I was born, written in my mother's careful handwriting. As I began reading, my understanding of everything shifted completely. The diary revealed that my mother had been married before my father and had a daughter named Sophie who would have been my older sister. Mom had never mentioned Sophie's existence, and there were no photos of her anywhere in our house that I'd ever noticed. According to the entries, Sophie was 4 years old when she died in a drowning accident at a neighbor's pool during a birthday party. Mom had let Sophie go to the party without her, trusting that other adults would watch the children carefully. She blamed herself completely for not being there to protect her daughter. The grief in those diary pages was overwhelming. Mom wrote about how she couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't forgive herself for allowing Sophie to go somewhere without her supervision. She described feeling like she'd failed in the most fundamental way a mother could fail. When Mom met my father 2 years later, she was still carrying the trauma of losing Sophie. The diary entries around my birth showed her terror at the thought of something happening to me. "I cannot lose another child," she wrote. "I will not make the same mistakes again." Every strict rule that had driven me crazy suddenly made sense. The early curfews were because Sophie had died in the evening. The no sleepover policy was because Sophie had died at someone else's house. The constant check-ins were Mom's way of making sure I was safe every moment of every day. One entry, written when I was 10, broke my heart completely. Sarah complained today about not being allowed to go to Emma's pool party. I wanted to explain why water terrifies me, but how do I tell her about the sister she never knew? How do I explain that every time I let her out of my sight, I see Sophie's face? I found photos of Sophie hidden in the back of the diary, a beautiful little girl with my same dark hair and smile. There were pictures of her first steps, birthday parties, and family vacations that showed how happy my mother had been before tragedy struck. Mom had carried this secret grief for my entire life, letting me think she was just an overbearing parent rather than a woman trying to prevent history from repeating itself. She'd chosen to be seen as controlling instead of burdening me with the knowledge of my sister's death. The last entry in the diary was written just months before Mom's death. "Sarah is grown now, safe and successful. I hope someday she understands that everything I did came from love, not control." I finally understood, Mom. Your love was never too much. It was just shaped by a loss too great to bear.